I used to think I had a storage problem. That was the story I told myself. If the house felt crowded, I must not have enough shelves. If the counters felt busy, I must need better containers. If the entry looked messy, I must need a smarter system. It sounded reasonable. After all, I don't live in a large house. It's comfortable, it's lived in, but there isn't extra space hiding anywhere. No spare room waiting to swallow overflow. What you see is what there is. So I bought baskets, I adjusted drawers, I added hooks. I rearranged things that were already arranged. And for a little while, each new solution felt hopeful. But the calm never lasted. The house would look better for a week or two, and then slowly, almost quietly, the same feeling would return. Not chaos, just a low hum of clutter. And if I'm being honest, that low hum is tiring. It took me longer than I care to admit to realize something simple. Storage wasn't the issue. The house wasn't broken, and I wasn't failing. The house was simply reflecting the way I was living inside it. That realization didn't come all at once. It came in small moments, and those moments slowly turned into 5 habits that changed more than any organizing product ever did. Habit 1, let the space tell the truth. My front entry is small, very small. 1 door, a narrow stretch of wall, a little bit of floor. For years, I expected it to hold everything that came in and out of our lives. Winter coats, boots, scarves, bags, umbrellas, the odd grocery tote that never quite made it back to the car. When things spilled into the dining room or lined up along the hallway, I assumed we needed better storage. But one day, standing there with too many pairs of boots crowding the mat, I had a quiet thought. This space is telling the truth. It simply could not hold that much at the same time. Not because we were messy, not because we lacked discipline, but because the physical limits were real. So instead of trying to make that little entry behave like a grand mudroom, I adjusted the expectation. Only the coats we are actively wearing stay by the door. Off-season ones live somewhere else. Boots rotate in and out. Each person has 1 hook. Just 1. At first, it felt restrictive, but after a few weeks, it felt freeing. The entry stopped exploding. Not because we added anything, because we stopped asking it to be something it wasn't. That shift alone softened the house, but it wasn't the only place I noticed a pattern. Habit 2, contain by time, not just by place. In my home, the kitchen island sees everything. Mail lands there, groceries pause there, a return package waits there, a receipt I need to look at later rests there. For years, I thought the island needed a better system, maybe a tray, maybe a bin labeled to do. But eventually I realized the island wasn't asking for storage. It was holding unfinished decisions. Most clutter on surfaces isn't permanent. It's paused. And when something has no time attached to it, it quietly settles in. So I stopped asking, where should this go? And started asking, when will this be handled? Mail gets opened the day it arrives. Returns leave the house within a few days. If something sits longer than that, I make a gentle choice. Finish it, schedule it, or let it go. Not perfectly. I still miss things sometimes. But giving those items a time frame changed the feeling in the room. The island stopped looking like storage. It started looking like a surface again. That felt good. Still, there was one place in the house that required a little more honesty. Habit 3, make the easy choice the right one. There is a chair in my bedroom. If you have one, you already know. It's the place where clothes go when they're not dirty enough for the wash, but not quite ready to hang up. I used to scold myself about that chair. Just put it away, I'd think. But here's the truth. Putting it away required opening the closet, shifting hangers, making small decisions. The chair required nothing, and at the end of a long day, nothing often wins. So instead of trying to correct my behavior, I changed the setup. I reduced the number of hangers so returning clothes felt easier.
I added a single hook on the wall where that sweater usually landed. I allowed the chair to hold one intentional item instead of many. I stopped fighting the pattern. I worked with it, and without much effort at all, the pile stopped growing. That taught me something important. Clutter doesn't always come from laziness. Sometimes it comes from friction. When the right choice is slightly harder than the wrong one quietly takes over. Once I understood that, I began looking at the house differently, which led me somewhere more personal. Habit 4. Stop saving space for the person you used to be. This one took longer. Some of the things in my home weren't practical clutter. They were emotional. Shoes for events I no longer attend. Supplies for hobbies I once loved but no longer practice. Serving dishes for large gatherings that happen less often now. None of those items were mistakes. They were memories. But I began to notice something subtle. The house felt slightly tense in spaces where it was holding on to versions of me that no longer lived here. I asked myself gently, is this supporting my life today? Not 20 years ago. Not the version of me I think I should be. Just the life I am actually living now. That question wasn't harsh. It was grounding. When I allowed the present version of myself to guide what stayed, the house felt lighter. Not empty, not stripped of history, just aligned. There is a deep comfort in living in a space that reflects who you are now, not who you were. And finally, there was one more shift that tied everything together. Habit 5. Reset small and often. For years, I waited for motivation. A free Saturday, a burst of energy, a day when I would finally fix everything. But those big efforts rarely lasted. What changed things was much smaller. 5 quiet minutes at the end of the day. Clearing the island, returning shoes to the mat, folding the blanket, straightening the entry. No music, no timer, no pressure. Just a gentle reset. Those small daily rhythms did more than any weekend overhaul ever had, because they didn't rely on intensity. They relied on consistency. And consistency, especially at this stage of life, feels kinder than intensity. When I look around now, nothing dramatic has changed. The house is the same size. The rooms are the same shape. Life is still life. But the low hum of clutter is quieter. The entry feels manageable. The island feels usable. The chair feels intentional. And inside, I feel steadier. If you have been blaming your storage, if you have been wondering why the calm doesn't last, if you have quietly questioned your discipline, perhaps it isn't about space at all. Perhaps it's about small habits gently aligning with the home you have. We have lived long enough to know that big transformations are rare, but small, steady adjustments, those are powerful. When your habits and your home agree with one another, ease follows quietly. And at this stage of life, quiet ease is more than enough. Thank you for spending this time here with me. If these reflections feel familiar, you're always welcome to return. We'll keep talking about how to let our homes support us, gently, honestly, and without pressure. I'll see you in the next one.